career engagement and handling past rejections. The goal of this session is to instill in young graduates with the right knowledge, skills, and attitude to bounce back and begin a career irrespective of past challenges and rejections. So, learning outcomes are realigning your career path, finding a suitable career work model, graduate level engagement, and skills for career excellence. So please welcome Abraham Owoseni. Please pay attention, please mute your mic, and please, I beg of you to take notes. This is going, I have over 8 years experience, and I'm also still going to take notes because you never know what can happen. So please take notes and welcome Abraham Owoseni. Please let's give a round clap in the chat session and welcome our first speaker.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bisola, for that warm introduction. Thank you, everyone, for coming on board on this session. I count it a great privilege, and I want to appreciate Youth Leadership Initiative. You know, Bisola mentioned something when she was making the introduction that if she had this opportunity, you know, starting out, I'm sure it would have given her more mileage. And that's also the same for virtually every person, you know, including myself, right? There were no structured sessions like this, right? There were no structured sessions like this that could, you know, guide on this is what you should do, this is how you should go about it. I mean, we had no structured sessions like that, right? So I'm glad that you are part of this session, and that the few minutes we have, I'm going to walk us through on a number of you know, ideologies. I'm sure this will help, you know, even in your career journey, irrespective of where you are in the value chain, and irrespective of the current level you are. This will even also help those that are past entry level, middle level, or whichever level it is, right? For me as a person, career development has been one of my topmost life skills, right? I'm most passionate about it, right? And I've built some expertise on that. And you know, and the reason is because every young person goes through this aspect of life, right? Whether you prepare for it intentionally or not, it's an aspect of life that every young person goes through, right? So as a result of that, I've done some extensive works over the years through coaching, consulting, both with individuals, organizations that work with young people, school boards, non-profit, right? You know, helping them around, you know, career. In 2014, I published my first book called The Career Leader. Right? You are in the right place. You're at home, right? So feel free to get the best as we get along. Own this learning session. Grab a notepad if you don't have one. You know, turn down the noise, the distraction around where you are, and get the best of this learning as we get along, right? This will be the best session for you as we get along, right? So again, welcome, and let's get ahead. So for me, when I was reflecting on this topic itself, you know, a number of memories flashed my memory, right? Because one of the things I'm going to be focusing on is right knowledge, the right skills, and the right attitude to bounce back and build a purposeful career, irrespective of past challenges, right? The right knowledge, the right skills, and the right attitude. And most times when people hear about career, I know there may be several concepts about and, you know, philosophy about career, but I'm going to share mine with you, right, along these objectives and this learning outcome as has been read earlier on, right? So I know many of us have gone through different cadres of formal education. The graduation is one of the most memorable days in a schooling experience that everybody celebrates the most, right? The matriculation is somewhat celebrated, but the graduation is the most celebrated, right? And so there's always so much excitement in the air, you know. And then the flip side of it is that you get to the world of work, you get into, you know, life in itself, and you know, certain challenges and difficulties come the way. And the question now is, how do I, you know, actually manage through on these challenges? I mean, these challenges are even beyond career. It could span across other areas. As a young person going through life, becoming an adult. Now, let me say something. Just to buttress this point, there was a time I wanted to make a career decision, and I had 3 offers, right? I had 3 offers, and then I remember that, you know, I had to say no to 2 of them and yes to 1. So I'm giving the flip side of resiliency, that not every time it's about, you know, you being rejected. You can also reject. You come to that point whereby you are armed with the knowledge and skill to be able to also say no, right? To be able to say no. But now this is the crux of this session. When you rebound, you are rebounding based on the strength of your clarity, and you are rebounding with courage, right? So no matter the difficulties and the loops in your career journey, either to beginning and all that, you have an opportunity to rebound based on two things. Now, the first one is what I call clarity, and the second one is what I call courage. Let me give you a quick example. So there was a time it was difficult for me to drive, and as many people who start to drive, you are termed a learner the first time, and then for a series of time after going to driving school, you get to come to a point whereby gradually your confidence grows. You become more clear on the technicalities of being on the behind the wheels of a car, and then gradually you get enough clarity to get on the highway. That's how you rebound, right? Or someone says, oh, I've been having difficulty standing up and I've been having pain in my back, and if visits a doctor, and the doctor tries to begin to do a diagnosis, right? And the doctor begins to, even before the doctor can prescribe some certain drugs, the doctor will say, okay, tell me, okay, have you been sitting for long hours? What has been the problem? Do you exercise? All of that is finding a way to grow in clarity so that you can be able to rebound. So it's about finding the root cause of whatever the challenge might be, whatever the difficulty might be, finding the root cause. But then you might be in two camps, right? So talking about clarity, you might be in two camps. The first camp might be that you're not sure what the difficulty is in itself. You do not know, right? That is called ignorance, right? The second camp is that but you are confused, right? You are confused on what to pick, right? So like what I shared with you then, somewhat I was confused having three offers, but I was also not confused because I had grown in clarity and I was able to reject two and pick up one, right? So that's one thing that happens, with clarity. Now, I need to say this at this point. Your mindset is what influences your skill set, right? So many people are also graduates like you are. They are technically skilled, they are vast, they are smart. But why are we still having difficulties with regards to our career? So that's why your mindset about career in itself is bigger than the skills you have to do the work, right? The skills you have is generic. Anybody can have that, right? There's nothing special about that in itself. But the mindset is not evil. Not everybody has the mindset. The mindset doesn't fall down. You took an intention to be in this session. Not everybody is here. So what is going to set you out from the crowd of other people having the same skill set like you have is your own mindset, and they're having the right mindset, as it has to do with with career in itself, right? So I said here that a resilient career is an intentional and purposeful work that is well planned and envisioned, right? So it's intentional. It's not something that is just dabbled in. Some people say to me that, oh, Mr. Abraham, I began my career when I joined this XYZ organization and this and this and this and that, right? So, but I'm going to show you that you don't actually start your career by necessarily being engaged. Your career starts when you decide to be intentional about the kind of jobs, the roles, the internships you take up, the volunteering, tasks, the projects you embark on. Your career starts at that point of intention, right? That's when you begin to build such a purposeful work. So to be able to resolve all of these difficulties, you need to first realign, right? And by realigning is about more of what I call harmony, right? Harmony, there's a core, you are trying to build harmony. So most times when there's a difficulty may not be about the challenge you're having, right? It may be something else that is causing the difficulty. And most times it's about alignment. You are good in yourself. Your value is in place. You are smart. You are dogged. Everything is perfect. All you need is to realign, right? And how do you do that? So this is what I say to people. Why do you think they call it career path? They call it career path because there is a destination, right? So you see a rail line has a track. It's moving on that track because there is a destination. One time I was driving in Lagos, Nigeria, and I lost my way somewhere on the mainland, and it was getting to dark, right? So I was concerned because I couldn't accelerate. I was worried. I couldn't move so well. I tried to see how I could get myself aligned back. I checked up. I was not even connected to the internet in itself to see how I could get some maps around. But I had to stop by at some point to ask some people, right? This is where I am going to. How can I get there? This is where I am. Are you seeing that now? That's the process of realignment. If I never knew where I was going to, then there's no way I can chart a path that will lead me there. So they call it career path because there is a destination. And guess what? Once I got my path realigned, I could zoom fast and I could build more mileage on where I was going to. That's how it works even in career, right? The destination is what makes it a career. Let me say that again. It is the destination that makes it a career. So if there is no destination, guess what? Look at this image. What do you think about this image? What do you think about this image? Someone give me feedback in the chat box. What do you think about this image, right? What do you think about this person? I mean, I don't want to. Let me not mention the things on my own mind. You tell me, what do you think about this image, right? What do you think about this image? What do you think about this image? Someone tell me in the chat box, what do you think about this image? Is this guy moving? Is it, just tell me what you think. Someone said has no direction. Okay. Roller coaster somebody. Okay. Any other thought? What do you think about this person? Now, so if you look at it, the guy is moving but not going anywhere. That's strong. He's stagnant. He's moving but not progressing, right? He's going in cycles. I mean, that's fantastic. Exactly. That is exactly what is happening. So I often say that if there is no destination, what you have is not a career, it's a trap. They call it the rat race, right? And by destination, I'm not necessarily talking about, the progression in an organization or the promotional track. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a destination of why you are on that engagement in the first place, right? But let's get this going. This is amazing, right? Now, the root word from career comes from this Latin word called carus. And carus simply means in English a wheeled vehicle, right? They got the meaning from this old means of transportation where you have a horse in front and a cart behind. As the horse moves, the cart moves along. That was where the root meaning of career comes. So guess what? I summarized in my own words and I said a career is a vehicle. My own career is a vehicle. How about you? My career is a vehicle. My career is a vehicle, right? My career is a vehicle. Why is it a vehicle? Remember what we said. It is leading to a destination, right? So every time I'm on the wheel driving somewhere. I don't just be on the wheel because I just feel like driving. No, right? No. I'm on the wheel driving because I am going somewhere. And guess what? In this vehicle, you are driving for life, right? In this vehicle, you are driving for life. What do vehicles do? Vehicles move within paths. They call it lanes, right? They move within paths. Note that. Number two, vehicles move with a destination in mind. They move with a destination in mind. That is very critical, right? So if your career is a vehicle, that means you should be moving with a destination in mind. You're not just moving because you want to move. You're not just taking any job because you want to take a job. You're not just taking a job because you just want to sort out wherewithal and pay bills. No. You are moving because there's a destination in mind and there's a path that will lead you there, right? So, like I said, it's not just about the jobs alone, right? So, this is where you are. This is 2020, right? There are several projects you can take on. There are several jobs you can take on. There are activities you can get on. There are roles you can take on. All of them are meant to lead you to your career dream. Your career dream, some have called it your career dream. Some have called it your life assignment. Some have called it your purpose. It is the destination in view. And when I look at my own story, I was in the fourth year, in the university. I was about getting out of school. I mean, I was doing well in school. I finished a first class degree, but there was something more that I needed to know, right? So, and I remember this fateful day when my friend and I were walking into a class, and he asked me a simple question. He said, "Abraham, is there more than this?" Right? He was saying that, is there more than our course of study? Is there more? What is the more about life? Because before that time, I just thought that, oh, well, I'm going to, finish from school, get a good job, right? Settle down, like they say, and live a good life. I mean, that's all, right? But that day was a turning point for me. Is there more? Right, and I went to think about this, right? This scripture was the scripture that was guiding me, right? It's in Galatians 6 verse 4. It says, make a careful exploration of who you are and the work you have been given, and then sink yourself into that work, right? So I started getting an understanding that, exploration is my personal responsibility. The government will explore for me, right? And I have a work I've been given already. Although I might not have been engaged, but I have an assignment I've been given to. And then it says, sink yourself into that. Don't be impressed with yourself. And guess what he said? He said, don't compare yourself with others. Don't compare yourself with others. So it's not about, if I'm driving on the road, on my own lane, I don't get to be looking at everybody that passes. I mean, it's going to lead to an accident. I'm focused on where I'm going to. I don't compare myself with others. Guess what he said? He said, each of you, it's a personal responsibility. Each of you must take responsibility for the creative best you can do with your own life, right? So I went back to really think about this, and I went to ask God. I was praying about it. So really, there's a work I've been given. What is it about? Tell me about it. I need to know about it. And the encounters from that time opened my eyes to, I could hear my conscience. God was saying, I'm sending to young people, still in the art, the fear of God, teach them my ways, bring them to my knowledge, establish my word in their lives, build development centers across the world. That was the beginning of my career dream. That gave me a picture of my career dream. And then I could now begin to say, okay, this is where I am now. What vehicle will I take that will lead me to this destination? That is what we're talking about with career dream. And when you have this kind of mindset, let me show you this mindset. This mindset that there are many benefits you can get from your career. When I talk about career, I also mean your work, right? Like I shared in that scripture. There you can get reward. Reward is what everybody knows, right? Financial reward. And guess what? Many millions of people across the world are stuck at that level alone. How about if you can have a double edge? I call it a double edge. A double edge whereby you're not just having reward alone, you also have progress. Right, like many said in that image, you're not just enjoying the shooting movement. You are moving progressively, right? You're also celebrated for what you do, right? When people, send me, feedback and say, Abraham, thank you so much for this. Although they paid me for what I did for them, but they're also celebrating me for it, right? When you are not just also doing alone for financial reward alone, you're also enjoying what you're doing. Your work is meant to be enjoyed. And guess what? The summation of all of the jobs, the roles, the tasks, all of those things brings about what we call fulfillment. You don't buy that one, right? A paycheck can't solve that one. It's fulfillment, right? And of course, even when you are gone beyond, your legacy lives on, which is what we call impact, right? These are many benefits you can get when you realign your career with these mindsets, like we're sharing. But let me just move on quickly, to this one. How do you find a suitable career work model, right? How do you find a suitable career work model? It's simple. Now, this is it. I used to say this. You don't need to be engaged before you're on the gauge of your career path, right? So if you've been following us on what we shared earlier on, it is not the engagement that sets me on the gauge. Let me bring it in simpler words. What I mean is that it is not the job that starts the career. It is the career that starts the job, right? So my career starts from discovering my career dream and asking myself which vehicle will lead me to this place I'm going to. So when I looked at my own career dream, I came across and said, my vehicle, my path, your path is that sector of the economy, is that sector of work. I came to my understanding that, the path that will lead me to this will be education and youth development, right? So although I had a background in a technical field, I could realign my path and say, this will be an enabler for this path that will lead me to my destination, right? So that is the beginning point of your career. It is not the job. So some people said, I started my career by working in XYZ, from there to this. That is good. That is the mileage of your job. But your career began when you knew where you were going to in the first place, right? And then because of the understanding that way, then you can now be able to get meaningful engagements that will not just make you to be, moving in cycle, but progressing in life in itself, right? Now, that is simple. I'm going to show you this quick model. This quick model says you can express your work. I think this is chapter 3 or 4 in my book, The Career Leader. You can express your work, either through a profession or through a vocation. I call it professional careers or vocational careers, right? And it's simple. How do you do that? So when I look at my own self, I ask myself, what are my gifts? What are the gifts I can leverage in my field of work? Yes, I have found my vehicle. I have found my path, education and youth development. What gifts can I leverage in this path? I tried drawing it out. And this is one of the things I want you to do as an action point. Write out your gifts, your abilities, those endowed potentials that God has given to you. Now, because one of the things you're going to do when you do that is that you're going to be able to make your gifts from being potential abilities to becoming what I call intentional abilities, right? And so I wrote my own down. I'm good in thinking and imagination, right? I love speaking and program design, event planning, coordination. I wrote down, I have a strong flair for aesthetics and ambience, right? So how do I leverage all of these gifts in my own vehicle of education and youth development? And where does that fall into? Does it fall into a professional career? Does it fall into a vocational career, right? So it could be an hybrid, a blend of the two, right? So, and guess what, guys? None is inferior. None is inferior, right? So whether you're expressing your own in a professional career, whether you are in the commonly known fields, you are in the field of medicine, you're in the fields of accounting and all of that, it's not inferior to someone else who is in a vocational career, right? It's about where can you add your most value. We invited Mr. Sheyi Bolaji to our youth development conference last year, and he said something profound. Let me show you what he said. He said, there is no pride in being an entrepreneur, and there is no shame in being employed. It is about where you are adding the most value and impact. There's no pride. It's about where. So you ask yourself this: where am I going to add the most value? There are two ways. Can I work with an existing organization, an existing platform? Guess what? You are working with them. The other flip of it is that, oh, will I be able to work with and create a new platform? Again, there is no prejudice to either of the two. It's about where you're going to add the most value. Where you're going to add the most value. And most times you're able to gain what we call corporate culture, learn organizational, values when you actually start with an existing platform, even if you have a vision to creating a new platform, right? And so these are two major fields of expressions of your career path, and saying where will you be in the divide. Be clear about it, right? And you can make progress with this. Having done this, you can now be able to say, I talked about this first, your gifts and then your skill. Everybody has the skill. Everybody can learn the skill. But guess what? I remember I was my barber the other day, and there were two people in the salon. And over time going there, I found out that the other person is not gifted. Although he has the skill, but he's not gifted. He struggles to do it. It doesn't come excellently well, right? That's what happens when you don't leverage your gift for your career vehicle, right? But let me just move because of time. Now, so what happens in all of this, as I'm going to wrap up, is this. You rebound based on response, not reaction. You rebound based on response, not reaction, right? So reaction, people say, send your CVs to 20 organizations. Oh, do this and this. That's not bad. That's what the mob does. But you are going to rebound based on response. Response to this clarity you now have. Response to this mindset you now have, right? And guess what will happen? You are now fit for engagement. And by being fit for engagement, what do? It's simple. Are there jobs you can leverage on at the moment? Are there projects you can join? Are there activities you can do? Are there roles you can take up? So it's either of these, you will get engaged in one of them. There's no how you won't get engaged in one of them. But let me even make it easier. How can this work? Let me show you a framework I did. Now, this is how it works. Your career is like the dashboard of a car. You start from level 0. You're accelerating. Remember I said your career is a vehicle. You are moving. The journey is great as long as you're focused on your path. Gradually, you get to 40. Gradually, you get to 80. You keep moving. But guess what? At 0, what do? You start from what I call available or desirable. Right? So for some people, they get their desirable engagement, right? They get a desirable engagement. And for some people, they don't get the desirable, but they get the available, right? Either part is fine to start with, as long as you have the destination in view. The challenge most times is that people start with just anything without any destination in view, right? So either part, just get going. And guess what? As you keep moving, a time comes whereby you can get to a dream engagement at a possible level, right? As you keep growing, you also begin to increase your mileage. You can get to another dream engagement that takes you to a level closer to your dream. And finally, if you get to your career dream in itself, right? Let me break this down more. What I mean is that by available or desirable, it could be a full-time paid role, or it could be a part-time paid role, or it could even be an internship, paid or not. It could be a volunteering role, paid or not. The main thing is that get going. Now, this is what happens. What you need to do now is that you need to break the inertia. The inertia is the most difficult thing to break. Once you break the inertia and you are in motion, momentum keeps increasing. When I'm driving, as long as I've started in motion, it keeps growing. I can increase the momentum easily because I've already started. What you need to do to keep increasing the momentum is to start either the available, either the desirable. Across any of the activities like we shared, just get going, right? With the destination in view, right? Time will not permit me to share some more, but I'll just wrap up with this quickly. Talking about skills for career excellence, right? What are those skills for career excellence, even at whatever level you start with, right? So I often say that if certificate gets the door open, what keeps the door open? For some people, certificate gets the door open. But for the other people, certificate may not even get the door open. What opens other doors that certificate cannot open? What keeps them open afterward? Guess what it is? That's where your skills come into. And by skill, I'm not necessarily talking about the technical skill alone. That's the hand skill. I'm talking about a skill that is on the arts level, right? It's a skill that is what UNICEF calls life skills, right? Life skill based education. That's the skill that differentiates you across the crowd, brings you and makes you exceptional, and people begin to say, I like your attitude, I like your attitude to work, I like your disposition. It's because you have something else beyond the hand skill. You have the art skill, right? That is what that does. And again, remember the model I shared. What happens is that whether you get the available or desirable, the thing is that you keep growing. The secret is in the growth. The growth, acquiring the growth with the life skills, getting going with them. Sooner than you expect, you get to a dream level engagement where it's closer to your dream, right? It's closer to the industry around your dream. But you don't stop there. You keep growing. As you keep growing, you get to another level that gives you more opportunity for impact, value. As you keep growing, that's how it goes on and on. It's about the growth. It's about the growth, right? So this growth can come in different levels. Someone still sent me a mail yesterday, and this is someone who is on a master's program, and he sent a mail and he just dumped the attachment to me. And guess what I did? I am not going to reply to the mail, right? Because most times what I do for most people is that sometimes maybe they're on my coaching program, or I just ask them to send me a mail, or just to make sure I can see their level of digital communication, right? And to see how I can guide them on that, right? So as little as that is, that's a skill that is not taught on the technical level, right? To know how you can communicate digitally, to know how you can the ethics of communication, right? To know how you can present, to know how you can think critically. So some people say, what's the future of work, Mr. Abraham? Right? The future of work is simple. Just be a critical thinker, right? Robots can't displace you if you're a critical thinker, right? We need humans who can think, not humans who can just work with templates and the typical things that are defined in a particular chain. People who can think. There are many life skills around that sphere, right? We talk about leadership development. Beyond just your job description, you're able to go beyond that. What value can I add? I mean, you come up exceptional and people wonder, who is this person? Where did you come from? Right? You are unique. Other people run away when it's 5. Other people just do things like, but you are unique. That's leadership development, right? That's a skill. How about teamwork and collaboration? These are life skills that will set you to be exceptional, from the crowd. And so whatever level you are, do it excellently, right? Do it excellently. Proverbs 22:29 says that a man diligent at that level, whether it's desirable or available, whether it's whatever level, it will soon stand before kings, right? Not ordinary people. That's what's going to happen, friends. And this is just amazing, right? So I just like to conclude by saying this, that it's not about what you are doing in itself or what level you are. It's about who you are becoming while you are doing it, right? It's about who you are becoming while you are doing it. Are you improving doing it? Are you growing doing it? It's about who you are becoming, right? It's about who you are becoming, and this is a critical, action point. So remember this as I close. Opportunity dances with people already on the dance floor. You see what that tells us is that although you want more opportunities, more career opportunities to rebound across the value chain, but that's going to happen when you are already on the dance floor. How do you get on the dance floor? How you get on the dance floor is simple. Growth brings you closer to the dance floor. Growth brings you closer to the dance floor. I mean, this is amazing, right? Thank you, Youth Leadership, for this opportunity. I'll put some recommended resources you can get on my, apart from the ones I sent to the team, on my YouTube channel. There are some resources I think will also consolidate to some of the things I've shared today. So I say thank you so much.